Here we are again.
No.
Recording just me and Edgar this time.
I'll do your... And welcome to another episode of Two Brothers.
There's a lack of a friend in this room. It's just me and Edgar, so... how do you feel about this episode we're going to record it?
I feel good. Is that okay?
What you getting at with the book script? Spit that shit out, man!
I didn't hear the last part, what you said.
Do you want to form an alliance with me?
Oh, shit.
Absolutely,
This
I
is the
do.
one with...
Go outside,
The
nerd.
friend
Get out. Go.
Is it?
Oh my god, I did not think he was going to do that. That scared me. That actually scared me a little bit.
The fuck, dude?
Hold on. We'll see.
It's called Two Brothers. Two Brothers. It's just called Two Brothers.
And
Friend?
as you can see, there's a lack of a friend.
God damn it.
And we have found ourselves here inside the Raccoon Police Department. The haunting halls of what used to be a museum transformed into a police department. And there's no zombies in sight. We found ourselves in a nice, quiet little save room. And we hope you guys join us on this little... But it's not going to be a little, actually. It's going to be a two-parter.
What?
Of our Resident Evil history, deep dive, whatever you want to call it, retrospective.
Uh-huh.
We're going to go through each game. And for tonight's episode, we're just going to go through 1
Through...
all the way up to 5. And then we'll talk about the rest afterwards. So, grab some snacks. Grab your favorite cozy drink because it is fall time.
Don't do that, guys. It's only going to be a
And-
30-minute episode because I really don't want to be here. So...
That is actually real. You really don't want to fucking be here because every time we record, you never want to be here. So thank you for pointing that out to the audience.
Yeah, thank you.
Letting
Thank
them know
you for pointing
that
it out.
you don't ever want to be
Yeah.
recording these episodes. This is gonna be a fun one.
Okay.
You could put. You don't have to like
What?
put your nose on the mic. They can.
Can you hear that?
That was not great. I'm gonna have to cut that out.
Why would-
I don't want to hear any of that shit.
Oh, you
Really.
cut that out, but you didn't cut out the fucking part where fucking Josh yelled into the mic? Huh?
That I didn't see coming when he did that. It made for good recording. That's still
No, it did not.
it did.
No.
Anyways, Edgar and I are huge fans of the Resident Evil franchise.
Mhm.
One would say it is probably. What would you say, like our
it's-
favorite, or like?
Yes, it's engraved in our cabeza.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Every January we do this thing where we play the Resident Evil games, and we just have a good old time. It's like therapy. It's a good cathartic way to just shut the world out and play these games, speed run through them, and oh man, it's
You think we're the only ones that like speed run? And look, like after
We're not the only ones, dude. There's people who are crazier than that do that shit. That like fucking they're crazy with it, dude. I think we're tame with what we do. We just have a whole month and a half where we're just dedicated
well, that's true, but I
to the
don't.
Resident Evil games.
Well, when the new Resident Evil game comes out, we're fucking like in it. We're like so deep. We try to do every trophy achievement. We try and unlock every costume, every weapon.
The whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
Man.
there you go, the whole 9 yards.
And I think it really started with Biohazard, or I don't know what I call it, Biohazard. So Resident Evil 7.
Oh, you went to Japan already? You call it Biohazard?
And technically, it is called Biohazard. At Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
You're in
That's
America.
what it's called.
Okay.
All right, you're like edging real close to being not only like an asshole who doesn't want to be on the podcast, but like a racist asshole who doesn't want to be on the podcast.
There's someone else in this.
Okay, see, now you keep taking it further, dude. What the fuck?
I'm just having fun.
No, you're not having fun. I'm not having fun hearing you fucking spew this shit. Okay.
All right, back to like what you say. It started with Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, back to what I was originally saying before you
Yes.
went on your little fucking I think it started when we played Resident Evil 7. We like tried to collect every trophy, which I don't think we even 100% in that
No.
game. I think I did 100% Resident Evil 2 before they patched it, and then you had to do the mercenaries and the I think it was like that one level where you're playing as the sheriff, that cop that gets killed in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
That I just can't do. It's just.
I think you were close one
I was
time.
close, but like, I think I was like out of the game. I couldn't. I was rusty and I didn't have time for it. I just didn't have the patience for it like I did when I played it on hardcore, or as I like to call it, hardcore plus, because there's like you get to unlock the infinite rocket launcher if you
do that one.
if you pass it with 3 saves.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like the mercenaries.
Yeah, not the mercenaries. Yeah. So all of this is leading us to do a history of Resident Evil. We've done a retrospective here on the podcast, where we just talk about our favorite like memories and stuff like that. We never really actually went down the rabbit hole and talked about the history of the game. So that's what we're going to do here tonight. And so we're going to begin with the original Resident Evil for the PlayStation 1, which was released on March 22nd, 1996. And development for Resident Evil started actually in 1993.
Jesus.
Creator and co-creator Shinji Mikami, and hopefully I don't butcher this, any of the names that come up, Takuro Fujiwara, intended to develop a game that had elements from the 1989 Famicom game Sweet Home. That was really what the inspiration was for Resident Evil. They just wanted to remake that for the PlayStation.
Hold on. You said it was in development since '93, but when did the OG PlayStation come out?
94, I think.
Oh, okay. That tracks.
94,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah. So, yeah, it was originally supposed to be a remake, Sweet Home.
Too sweet, yeah.
Fujiwara was the creator of Sweet Home and was Mikami's mentor at the time.
What?
I wrote Mento at the time. So that was a fucking... It later evolved into the survival horror title we came to know as Resident Evil, or Biohazard in Japan, released on March 22nd, 1996, which I just said, beginning there. The only thing really that kept it from being a remake was Capcom retaining the rights to Sweet Home, which they didn't have the rights for it. So they had to invent their own universe. That's where the whole name of Resident
Biohazard.
Evil and Biohazard came about. Well, actually, I think they always intended it to be called Biohazard in Japan, but in the States, really hard to market Biohazard or something like that, or to have that name be for the States. So they made a raffle and they're like, let's call it Resident Evil.
It was just a raffle? I thought it was just a guy who went in there like, call it this.
No, that was Mortal Kombat. But
well, hold on. What I remember is, I think it's hard. It was hard to get the name Biohazard here in the U.S. But I think that the only reason why they also didn't do it, because I guess there was a band called Biohazard.
Yeah, that too.
So it can be. I can say it can go either way of why they couldn't.
Yeah. Oh shit. Also, like and subscribe to the show. Listen. Follow us on socials and stuff like that. You already know. And I'm taking all this from Wikipedia. So if you think that this is not factually correct, you're probably right. But I think most of this is correct because I've seen videos and shit. So that's my credentials.
All right, go.
Scenario writer Kenichi
Wow.
wanted to implement more ways to combat enemies such as mines and traps, but was unable to due to scheduling constraints, which is interesting. Also, that was the other thing too we'll get into in a little bit. The first handful of months, Mikami worked on the game alone, developing character concepts, writing over 40 pages of script, and this is before things really got going, full steam ahead and stuff like that. During production, Mikami discovered Alone in the Dark, which influenced the game's fixed camera system. So had it not been for Alone in the Dark, it was always intended to be first person. It was going to be a first person survival horror game. Which, could you imagine the original Resident Evil being in first person? Like, it wouldn't have the same impact.
I don't think I don't think it would have the same impact as it does now. You know.
So, props to Alone in the Dark, man. That was like, for as much as we say like Sweet Home was definitely a huge influence on Resident Evil, Alone in the Dark, man, we had a lot. It had a lot of influence over what we eventually got with that original Resident Evil game on PlayStation. Yeah, and also that was another one of the cut features that they cut out, was that there was going to be real-time weapon switching in the game. So it wasn't opening inventory, selecting a shotgun, going back out. Like, you could switch on the fly, which, you know, for those who probably play Resident Evil games now and didn't play the older ones, that probably doesn't seem too far-fetched of a concept. But in the original, that would have been so fucking, like, I don't know, man. That would have changed the whole meta of the game if you could just switch your weapons at any time. Because the inventory screen, like, that's like a game in and of itself. Opening, selecting what weapon, or, like, you know,
but
which one do I fucking like?
I'm kind of happy they went that route with the inventory, because it's like it brings charm to Resident Evil. It's like an add-on to it, if that makes sense.
Well, it's also like a staple of survival horror games now.
Come on, man. Like, I bet everyone who's listening to this, whoever played a Resident Evil game, you would go to the fucking inventory screen and sometimes you just look at it. Say, okay, do I need this? Do I have to put that away? You know, stuff like that.
Didn't you say our brothers would do that?
Yeah.
They just open up just to listen to the ambiance, or just be in the screen and just...
Or just to, like I said, just, okay, do I need to put that away? Do I have to, you know...
That adds to the charm.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, it adds to the charm. As if they really had real time, or whatever you called it. I don't think it would have worked, you know?
This is the... And I think you probably did some research on this, I'm not sure, but multiple versions of the game were later released, including a director's cut, which, among other things, including an infamously bad soundtrack.
I think it's one of the best that I ever heard.
No, unless you're deaf, like the fucking guy claimed to be.
Oh yeah, that's my guy right there.
He played kayfabe the whole time. For the longest time, everyone just thought that he was.
He had a ghostwriter. I don't think he really fucking wrote the whole thing.
What did you say was how they caught him? What did you say? Like, or did you just make this shit up? Was it real?
I think it was one of the videos I saw of like the history of Resident Evil, and they just like briefly touched on it. You know, the way they figured out that he wasn't like deaf. Was he heard a noise and he reacted to it. It's like, you motherfucker!
Oh, you fucking! So you're not fucking. You're lying, bitch.
Like, no, wait.
Hold on. Maybe it was. Hold on. Maybe I thought I heard. Yeah. If you listen to please, after you listen to this episode, go look up the soundtrack of the director's cut. You will not be disappointed. It's the most fucking horrendous thing. But it's iconic also, I think, in its own way. Like, people just you also have to give it love. It's terrible. It's terrible, but, like, I don't know. The fact that it just went so long with them thinking, like, just, I don't know. That whole controversy was so bizarre. But
you know, I don't know if you've seen a picture of him, right? This composer. He has long hair, and I guess that was like his look, was he had a long hair, and he always he wore sunglasses, right?
Was he also blind too?
I guess so. He was a Stevie Wonder over there, but once he got caught, he changed his appearance. He cut his hair. He looked more formal.
Like what? Like, they think that he would, like, change his whole act, and
Well, okay, before we continue, the reason they released the director's cut is because at the time they were working on Resident Evil 2. And I think you'll talk about it right here.
I hope so. I mean, I got notes, but
Well, hold on, but that's the reason why they released we have a director's cut of the original, is because, just because they're still working on the second one, but in the director's cut
Uh-huh.
is it was supposed to be uncensored. You get all the shit that they.
Oh, I know. I get what you're going.
Yeah.
Keep going. Go ahead.
So like the cutscenes in the intro would be much gorier.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And one of them is with I think you know this too.
But keep going. Yeah.
With the characters like Chris
the
Redfield,
little intros for each character.
Wesker,
Yep.
yeah. And I guess the American version you just had fucking Chris saying, "Hey, what's up, guys?"
He didn't say that. But, all right.
and I guess back in Japan, he lit up a cigarette and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, that I remember. Yeah.
So I guess he had that in the director's cut, but I never saw it. I guess what the thing is, it never, even though it's called director's cut, it still came out original. If that makes sense.
The only thing that honestly
It's just
was
the soundtrack.
Let's
Yes.
be fucking honest. Like I think.
So they kind of fucked up on that part too. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. That's what I heard.
Listen, man, the development surrounding these games can be a little bit muddled sometimes. So, I think Resident Evil aficionados out there will correct us if we, have stated some wrong facts.
That's what I heard. That's why the reason we got the director's cut.
For this episode, we are going to talk about our experiences with the game. I don't think we have too much with the original, though. Right? I mean, have you played the original at all?
Yes, but to the point where you meet Forrest. That was it. I was too young to understand.
Did you see? Did
What?
you see our brothers play it to the end, or?
Yeah. I think it was. Yeah, I was towards the end.
Yeah. See, okay. So I never played it, but I know how infamous it is for bad dialogue. So I would say, what is your favorite line?
You ready?
From Resident Evil?
Here we go. You can't kill me, right? I think that's Chris.
Yeah. Chris, stop it, man.
Yeah.
Take a look at this.
Yep.
I know a lot of people were gonna give it a lot of shit,
But the classic is.
you're almost a Jill's. That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic right there, dude. I mean, that alone, I feel like if you're gonna play it for anything, play it for the terrible fucking voice acting.
Yes.
And
the terrible soundtrack.
Yeah, that's if you can get your hands on the director's cut.
What do you? I think that was.
Is that the most
Yeah.
That's the one that you can find the most
Easy.
of, right?
Yeah, easy.
It's the original you can't. The
No.
good soundtrack you can't find.
Nope.
The good. Yeah. Okay, but I mean, we're gonna circle back, right? Because I was gonna bring up the remake for Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get there when we get there.
Okay.
Moving on to Resident Evil 2, released on January 21st, 1998, directed by Hideki Kamiya and produced by Shinji Mikami. And I think at this point, Mikami was like, I'm going to just step away. I already did the first one. He didn't want to really be in the director role. At this point, he just like, I'll oversee it and see how you guys do, but I won't step in. And obviously that will change
As I was about to say.
at some point. Hideki Kamiya, for those who don't know, if you haven't played any of the games that he's been involved in, we'll bring it up here later on in the episode. But he's known for breathing life, creating Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, right?
Vanquish.
The Platinum games, really.
That's him.
That's him. That's his thing. And you could see the start of that with Resident Evil 2 because it's a lot more, would you say, action focused than the first one? Definitely more than the first one.
The thing is I feel like it's well balanced with action and horror.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect way to describe it, I think. Yeah.
And the way to in my opinion, is the beginning of Resident Evil 2. From the get-go.
Mm-hmm. Starts at 9 and it just keeps cranking it up to 11.
So
all the way up to you're right.
So
Development. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Development began 1 month after the completion of the first game.
Uh-huh.
What would become a trend with the series. Resident Evil 2 saw a completely different version from what we know today, called Resident Evil 1.5. The biggest change was that of Elza Walker, a college student and a motorcycle racer. I was going to say racer. I think I caught myself. Who was later replaced by Claire Redfield. Could you imagine how the series would have been without Claire Redfield? And having Elza Walker instead? Or at just the version that we were going to get. Which, by the way, you can play this version on PC. I think there's like a mod for it. Yeah, 1.5.
Yeah.
So those are curious to see the changes. There was like a lot of. Well, I mean, for the most part, it kind of stayed mostly not mostly the same. It was kind of actually really different.
It's different.
It was really different. Yeah, you're right.
But with the Elza Walker thing, I don't know. It's kind of.
They paid homage to it in the remake.
Just the
Resident Evil 2,
costume.
the costume, but at least they acknowledged that, like, hey, we know that Elza Walker was supposed to be a character. I like to see her return. That'd be kind of cool.
You know what would have been cool? If she had her own, like, add-on on Resident Evil 2. Like
In the remake, you're
yeah,
talking
like her own little side
about?
story.
That would be cool. To see, like, a...
Yeah. They
yeah, that would have been cool. They did that with, like, Kendo, didn't he?
did
Like,
it with Kendo. They did it with the fucking lady that died with
the mayor's
daughter.
Did you play as the mayor's daughter?
Yeah.
That's weird. Hey, you're right. I forgot about that.
See, they should have added Elza Walker as that type of add-on.
That would have been nice to see.
Yeah, if you wanted to pay homage to her, you should have done that, Capcom.
Yeah. Well,
But like, I don't know. I really don't know if it would have worked out because she never had the time to shine. If that makes
Yeah.
sense. So.
true. The main characters in this version would not cross paths, unlike the actual version that we got. Instead, they would be assisted by two supporting characters, Marvin and an early version of Ada for Leon and Sherry Birkin, and John, who would later be Robert Kendo for Elza. So throughout the game, you're supposed to meet different characters who, along your journey, but they would never meet like they would in Resident Evil 2. That's another thing that I don't know how to feel about that. Because I think what makes Resident Evil 2 shine also is like those interactions between
Claire and
Leon
Leon.
and Claire and stuff like that. Especially in the remake, but again, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Originally, there were to be more encounters with survivors, like I just said, such as Leon's superior officer named Roy.
Jimmy.
I didn't know about the whole welcome Leon, the little bird, the little sign that they had. I didn't know how it was.
They fucked it
How
up.
they fucked it up until the remake came out. Then that's when I knew that shit. And then I had to go back and play the original because at the time it was during the pandemic. I think we got the PlayStation 2, we bought Resident Evil 2, and I was like, oh yeah, they're right. Yeah, he's just kind of on the ground there. Mikami originally planned to end the series after RE2. He was like, oh fuck it, I'm done.
Who?
Mikami.
Oh, Mikami.
He didn't want to do it anymore after 2 games. He didn't even directed the second one. He was just, I'm done.
Jesus.
With its story being criticized for ending too conclusively without any chance of sequels, then new development started with the help of professional screenwriter Noboru Sugimura, who was a fan of the first game's story. Initially, Sugimura was hired on a trial basis, but was later asked to completely rework the entire scenario of Resident Evil 2 to what we, know it to be today. The inclusion of the zapping system, which
The fuck is it?
Do I need to remind you what the zapping system is?
No. What is it?
That's like when you would pick up the pack.
Oh,
and you would leave it for Claire. There's like different little intricate things that would be. Yeah, that's the zapping system in Resident Evil 2 original, which I guess you don't know about. What's that about?
I feel like it's only one section of the fucking game that I noticed that the zapping system works. So I don't know why the hell they made it such a like a. This is gonna be a cool feature, guys.
They got inspired by Back to the Future with that. For the zapping system, about how seeing things from different perspectives.
Oh,
From different
yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, the only time I notice is when you get the pouch or the fucking I think it's a gun, another weapon, and that's it.
Are you sure?
Yes. That I know. I played it so many times. The only time
And
that
this is your first time hearing what the zapping system is.
you know, go fuck yourself, okay?
Oh my god. The game received widespread acclaim and has become one of the most impactful video games of all time. I completely agree with that statement. We've played Resident Evil 2 like you just said countless times. It's a masterpiece, man. It's one of those video games that like you can go back and play having played the remake and just still like it holds up. Like it doesn't the remake, and I don't think the remake ever did, but the remake doesn't diminish the original.
Mm-hmm.
It coexists with each other, which makes it really special. Such a great game. Like I said, we're here in the police department, so clearly it's iconic, dude.
I think everyone can agree. Like this one, you can say out of the trilogy or out of the whole series, this one has to be everyone's favorite. With the characters,
Like, are you talking about like the original?
yeah, the original.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
The characters, the fucking music on this one. Still, it's in my fucking head. It's in my brain. I know it.
Yeah.
You know, it brings back so much nostalgia to it. You know, there's a reason why they brought it back to the remake as an add-on. Because it's so iconic, you know, that people like want it, you know. What else? Yeah, dude, I think this one.
I mean, it brought Leon. Yeah, it created these iconic characters that would later be in future titles. Like, and if anything, I feel like the characters like Leon and Claire are much more synonymous with Resident Evil than, like, say, Chris Redfield or Barry or any of these other characters. Like, when you think of Resident Evil, honestly, you think of like Leon, you think of the police department, you think of the save music from Resident Evil 2. At least for us, like, that's what cemented Resident Evil as like one of the greatest
games,
like, just franchises of all time.
In your opinion, because you're a Leon fan here, why do you think until this day everyone gravitates to Leon and not like Barry, Jimmy, Steve, Alan?
What the fuck is Jimmy, dude? You talking about Jim from Outbreak? I know Jim.
Those, you know, other characters like Chris and all that.
I don't know. I think if you look at it from a story perspective, just like, the fuck, you sound like a liquor there. You gotta stop breathing into the mic. Or that's the. I think when you look at Leon in terms of the story and how he's just like this rookie who got into this situation that feels insurmountable, and he just managed to kick ass, and is like playing it straight, and is like this Boy Scout. I don't know, people just kind of like, yeah, he's a fucking goofball and like a fucking dweeb, but like he gets the job done, dude. And I don't know, and the fact that they made him such a badass character in 4, like, that just, that evolution of the character, I think you don't see that with any of the other characters in the Resident Evil series, you know?
What do you mean? Chris punched a boulder.
That's the only evolution you got with that fucking character. Like, you got big and then you got small again. Then you got big and then you, like, that's the only...
Oh, yeah? He did Umbrella Blue? Remember in Resident Evil 7 with the
Blue.
helicopter?
He did Umbrella Blue. What the fuck does that... He changed the color of the Umbrella logo?
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. That's what you call evolutionary.
Yeah.
No, I think Resident Evil 2 is, and Leon is just much more iconic, dude.
Okay.
Moving on to Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, released on September 22nd, 1999 on the PlayStation and later ported on Dreamcast and GameCube. It was developed concurrently alongside Resident Evil Code Veronica. Nemesis was conceived originally as a spin-off. Code Veronica was intended to be the sequel.
Okay.
At the time, Capcom had been working on multiple Resident Evil projects, one of which included a scrap title that saw Kunk on a
Kunk?
Kunk.
You said
Hunk.
Kunk.
Hunk. Hunk. Nah, I can't say that word no more. On a
Hunk.
cruise ship, attempting to bring back a sample of the G virus.
In Resident Evil 3?
That was a scrapped
Oh.
version of a video game
okay,
that they
okay,
were
okay,
going to do was for that.
Mhm.
So that was another thing I didn't know about, was Code Veronica being the actual third game
Uh-huh.
for the longest time.
Same.
What went through your head when you found out that Code Veronica was going to be the sequel? Do you see it as the sequel, or in your eyes that's just the fucking spin-off?
It's a spin-off, man.
Yeah.
Once they fucking put that 3 in that title for the Resident Evil 3 for PlayStation 1, it cemented it. It's like, okay, this is the
Yeah.
so-called sequel, you know?
And Resident Evil 3, okay, we'll get into it after I'm done talking about the development of Resident Evil 3. Yeah, so they were working, like I said, so this is a pivotal moment for Resident Evil. They were working on multiple fucking projects, and they were just, this is big, guys.
Okay.
Let's go fucking,
Let's do this.
you know? They were going NWO and the shit. They were taking over, okay? This was their version of that, okay? Not wanting fans to wait for a new Resident Evil title on the PlayStation 2, Capcom offered up one of its side projects as the third main title in the series. That was another thing, too, is there was an exclusivity deal between Sony and Capcom, was that Sony wanted all of their numbered titles
Uh-huh.
on their console, and everything else
Can be, yeah.
you know? Nemesis was developed by an experienced team led by director Kazuhiro Aoyama. Nemesis added a 180-degree turn, which is now a staple in the game, in a lot of survival horror games, actually. A dodge mechanic, explosive barrels, and a persistent enemy in Nemesis, who was inspired by the T-1000 from Terminator 2. He was originally called the Pursuer, right?
Yes, and the title was supposed to be called the Pursuer.
It was supposed to be called Resident Evil 3 The Pursuer?
Oh, no, sorry.
I was gonna fucking say, I don't think that's true.
No, I think it was fuck. I think it was called Resident Evil 3. Had Escape in it. I know that.
Escape Raccoon City?
No. One Last Escape or something like that. I forgot what was cool. I know Escape is in it. It's in the beginning of the game. It's something that Jill says.
That was gonna be the title?
Yeah, she
I
says it
remember.
in the beginning of the game. One Last Escape or something like that. I think it was, yeah, something like that.
Interesting.
But yeah, Nemesis was not supposed to be called Nemesis. He was the Pursuer.
Yeah.
He had a rocket launcher.
Did he not?
He had knives.
Are you making this shit up?
Yeah.
Eric, come on, man. Like, you fucking had me going there. Doesn't he actually have a rocket launcher?
Yes, he does.
Don't fuck with me, man. Shit. Because this one I also haven't played nearly as much as the other ones. So that's why, like, I can't. I don't know if what you're saying is true or not. This game also had, like,
QuickTime.
would you call it like QuickTime? Not QuickTime event. No. It's like more in line with, like, you get to choose what you want.
But you got a certain time.
All right. I guess you could call that a QuickTime event. We saw Brad for like a split second.
Yeah.
Also, like, the fact that this takes place at the same time as 2 is just...
No,
It doesn't?
it does. But that's towards the kind of like
you fucking...
it's like it's towards the end though, not like the whole.
All right, but the game still takes place at the same time.
Yes.
Fucking asshole. So yeah, Jill got her own game.
Mhm.
fucking badass character. The fact that like she was the first character that got the 180-degree turn, the dodge mechanic. Like, it just that added to her character too. I think that made her much more like what would just Jill or Claire, like
Jill.
who's much more right. Like the fact that she fought off Nemesis like 4 or 5 times. Like,
Yeah.
that's just
See, that's the cool thing about it. Like the way they introduce, so like the way they were. Let's see if you can correct me here. Like they were hyping Nemesis in the game, right? Like with Brad, it's like there's this thing chasing us, and da 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 da.
it's a pursuer.
You know, it's all that. And then when you see him jump in front of him, in front of the police station,
And kills
you're like,
Brad.
you're like, holy shit!
It lives up to the name, right? Yeah.
And the thing about these quick time events, that's what I'm gonna call it. If you attend, like if you select the version where you get to fight him, and you do fucking like defeat him, you get cool items that he drops. You know.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. That's a cool incentive to like, okay,
To actually face
face
Nemesis.
him, yeah, instead of running away all the time. You know.
Talk about an action game too. Normal gives you just a handgun, but if you want to play easy, here's a fucking machine gun.
Yeah.
To start off with, like it just and it gives you the tool to like make ammunition and stuff like that. Like this game was like, fuck it, dude, go bonkers, man. Just go kill zombies and like have a good time. You know, this game was the horror came from Nemesis. But I think everything else was just like
Dun, 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 dun. Every time you fucking heard his theme songs, like you fucking like.
No, I was also like fucking that when he started chasing after me, and I didn't know what areas were safe or not. Dude, that's the thing that like fucked with me when I played it. Yeah, that's what made it, I think, an instant classic and created a fucking iconic character. You know, Nemesis. Like,
Yeah. All right, to this day, I still fucking quote his ass every other day.
like work too.
Yeah.
You be saying Nemesis to people or what?
No,
Or stars.
stars.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, dude. Now that I think about it, yeah, that's.
He's iconic, dude.
Of course, he's iconic, man.
I don't know about the remake, but he's like iconic.
We'll get there. Yeah. Now we're moving on to the game that we just mentioned earlier, which is Resident Evil Code Veronica. Released February 2000 for the Sega Dreamcast, and then later ported to fucking everything that you could think of. Code Veronica was born out of Mikami and his team realizing that they would not be able to port Resident Evil 2 originally on the Sega Saturn, which led them to be like, let's just fucking make a new game. So originally they were going to put Resident Evil 2 on the Sega Saturn, and then so the development on the game would later evolve to be a Dreamcast title to make better use of the console's technical quality. Code Veronica was bold for taking that's a word, for taking the series in a direction in both story and setting, having a more European Gothic horror inspired vibe. It also saw the return of Chris, Claire, and my boy Albert Wesker.
Stop it.
But this is fucking the beginning of like kick-ass,
Albert.
badass fucking Matrix Albert Wesker, okay? Not fucking shooting bees from Resident Evil Remake Albert Wesker. This game we can sit here and talk about it, nitpick it, and like just but not huge fans of Code Veronica.
I am.
Or you're not because you fucking did the duplication glitch to just fucking get you through the game.
Yeah,
This one is fucking tedious, man.
It is.
It is tedious as fuck. There are some things I appreciate. I do appreciate the setting. I do appreciate them trying to like do things differently and more dynamic camera angles. Is no longer a fixed camera. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily just a fixed camera, but there's 3D environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The return of Claire was great to see, but like, this game is like it's just a chore to get through, dude. You agree because you fucking played it through the end.
Yeah.
And I was like right there, and I just like couldn't finish it because I didn't have any
ammo.
Which is rare for me to do in a Resident Evil game where I run out of fucking resources. But
Well, that glitch came in clutch, okay? The thing about this game is, it's the same reason with Resident Evil 5 we'll get to there, is the way it's what's the word I'm looking for? Structured. The way it's mapped out. You're in a fucking prison for like 20 minutes, then you end up in a fucking castle the next, or I mean a mansion.
Yeah.
Which is,
It kind of is like a castle, to be honest. No, yeah, it's a mansion.
I don't
That's
know.
right.
Then later you end up in a fucking
Yeah, you end up in
submarine
Antarctica and
underwater.
shit, yeah. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
It's
man.
a whole fucking thing, and I can see why people were like turned away with this game, because there's a lot of pitiful points in this game where, like, when you first encounter the tyrant, I forgot why that section is like a turning point in the game too. Forgot what it was, but people are like, that's where people stopped playing the game.
Yeah.
I forgot why. Then the other one is when you switch to Chris, and that's a game. That's the thing that the game doesn't tell you, is that you got to save some fucking bullets and some weapons for Chris in the later half of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you don't do that, you're also fucked. You know?
You're basically like, yeah, you have to restart
Yeah.
if you don't do it properly.
For
I
properly,
guess,
yes, that's the right word.
Yeah, it's like, because again, I appreciate them bringing back Chris. I like the double, like the mini Uzis, the fucking double Uzis that you get to use, like shit, like stuff like that is cool. You know, there's some interesting concepts here, but I just don't think it was executed well. At least most of it was. You know?
Well, the way you're describing this and telling me this is that they don't have time to fucking think about stories or what they want to do next. It's like it's every year.
One thing after another. Yeah.
It's not only that, it's like they only have a little bit of time to work on it. So some guy in the fucking Capcom's like, a prison in Claire Redfield.
Steve, bring in a good guy named Steve.
Yeah. It's like they didn't have time to like breathe in.
They didn't have time to cook, is what you're saying.
There you go.
As the kids would say nowadays, they didn't have time to cook. Yeah, that's right. I think we talked about this game too much. But
well, hold on. But let me just say something. It's a wonderful game. It's a great game.
All right, Trump.
No, but like I just feel like at this point the team at Capcom, it's like, dude, come on, man. I want to go to vacation.
I sound like Joe Biden. Come on, man. This is a bunch of malarkey, man.
That's what that's what they were saying.
Well, we went from malarkey to probably one of the best remakes of all time.
Remakes?
Resident Evil remake. What happened?
Oh.
What happened to my shit?
Oh no.
Okay. I was about to say podcast is over. I don't got no fucking notes. Released March 22nd, 2002, originally for the Nintendo GameCube, and I say originally because it was exclusive with Nintendo, but then it got released everywhere. Mikami decided to produce a remake, citing the original's visuals did not age well, as well as the original's poor localization as another reason for the remake's existence. I can also say that the soundtrack good reason to remake it. Originally, the development team only planned to upgrade the graphics while retaining the rest of the game from its original design. Yet, as well as the game evolved to include new areas, puzzles, weapons, and enemies. So they were just gonna everything was gonna just be the same until they expanded it. They were just going to upgrade the graphics. And you just talked about how they didn't have enough time and how they were scrambling. The team planned to make the zombies invisible, but was scrapped because it would have strayed too far from its original vision.
Hopefully they fire that guy.
Fucking shit. Yeah. Hopefully that guy cut his hair, changed his fucking everything. Cause how do you fucking like pitch like, hey, let's just make the zombies invisible? That would fucking show them. those fans that keep beating our fucking games. Invisible zombies. I know that that's a feature in the game when you play it like on harder difficulties, but by default to just have that.
No. The fuck?
No, man. At least for me personally.
Come
on.
Go fucking cut your hair, dickhead.
Some malarkey, man.
Yeah.
Like you can't fucking just take out the zombies. Go fucking cut your hair. That was just punishment.
Yeah.
Go fucking cut your hair,
Yeah.
dude. Shit. Yeah, thank God they didn't follow through with that, because what we got is one of the greatest video games of all time. And I know he's listening, and Josh, the fact that he thinks that the remake is not as good as the original, maybe he's fucking deaf when he listens to the fucking soundtrack of the
Cut your
director's
hair.
cut. Like, yeah, go cut your hair. Dude. Like, the remake is just so fucking superior. It's the standard for if you're gonna make a remake. That's how you do it, dude.
Albert, let me take you back. Okay. Back 2000 and what? Two. Right. This shit was everywhere. The hype was real. Okay. Like the promotion for it was like everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone was praising it.
Yeah.
Saying it was one of the fucking scariest games of that year.
I mean, you got the Crimson Zombies. You got like
Everything about it was
music.
everything about that game was like spot on.
It was perfect, man.
I forgot the back of the cover, but I know it had hell in it. Like, and then from that tagline, like, holy
I'm gonna
shit.
find it. You keep talking. I gotta find the.
And it just made you say, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because
And the graphics now fucking hold up, dude.
still
On the GameCube, it still fucking
Still.
holds up. I'm not talking about the rematch. I'm talking about like play the shit on GameCube.
GameCube too.
It looks fucking amazing. Like, it does not. I think it's gonna be like just a timeless fucking video game.
And it still is. It's something that we still play to this day. And it's
Yeah.
fucking great, dude. Like you said, the Crimson Zombies. Well, once you're getting attacked, you can like put grenades into their mouths or like stab them with a knife. All that, man. It's a timeless classic to this day.
I don't think there's anything about hell in here, dude.
What does it say?
Oh,
then?
it says this new Resident Evil is gonna scare the hell out
There
of you.
you go. See, yeah.
Be afraid. Be very
You
afraid.
see?
And then it says, turn out the lights, lock the doors, live the nightmare.
Come on.
That's how you sell a
Come
fucking game
on.
right there. That's how you sell it. You don't fucking go out and be like, turn out the lights, lock the doors, invisible zombies. Like,
Yeah.
you don't fucking sell the game that way, dude. Like, that is... Yeah, remake. And you can play it now. It's readily available on everything. You can play it and enjoy it. It's a fucking masterpiece, man. It is a masterpiece.
Before we finish, they also added a new character, which also like amped up the fucking scariness of what already was.
Yeah.
Lisa Trevor, dude.
Which he was originally supposed to be
In
the original Resident Evil game, yeah. But they were moving. They were fucking moving. And the remake had Lisa Trevor. Yeah, she's... God damn, yeah, that is a terrifying boss. You know? Hearing her when you're like going... when you're like putting the fucking emblems or whatever, you know that... When you don't have them yet,
Oh,
you hear like...
yeah.
That is like... Still to this day kind of gives you like chills, man. You know?
It's just even hearing like her backstory and all that. It's kind of sad,
Yeah.
and the thing is that you can't really
Yeah, you can't really defeat her.
Yeah, she can't die basically. So yeah.
God damn, man. Such a great game. And they didn't have the cheesy lines anymore. They didn't have the stop it, none of that shit. Yeah, so that's a fucking plus in my book.
And someone hasn't played it yet. And says that the original's better.
Has he not played it? Has he said he's not played it?
I don't think he said that.
I don't know. He's gonna listen to this and then he's gonna call me after, a few days after, and then we'll clarify. So
We'll let you guys know if he
yeah,
did or
we'll
not.
see. Released on November 12th, 2002 for the GameCube, later ported on everything else. We got Resident Evil 0.
Do we really have to talk about this one?
I'm just gonna go through the development stuff because there are some interesting things, and then we'll just move on. Because I mean, I also haven't played it. I haven't finished it or never.
Oh, I did.
You did.
I'll
But,
put my 2 cents or whatever.
yeah, but you don't have to. As mentioned before, Capcom was working on multiple RE titles, including Zero, which was beginning originally as an N64 title. Because of the lack of storage space on the N64, the team approached Zero to be different in terms of gameplay design, expected to be more difficult than its predecessors, with the removal of inventory boxes, which was
Dumb.
having enemies react differently when they were shot, allowing the player to counteract when bitten. They also experimented with a faster zombie type, which would later be restructured into the Crimson Head for the Resident Evil remake. Zero also included real-time partner zapping, which allowed players to hop from one character to another. This was originally intended to make use of the N64's lack of load times to their advantage, but then eventually the developments shifted over to the GameCube, and they're like, well, fuck, how we're going to make that work? But they did somehow make that work, where you could still kind of zap between partners. A unique concept, I will say that. I know it has its fans, it has its, as you would say, its fans. I don't fucking know, man. Like, this game to me is like also there with Code Veronica. Like, it's just, and I don't really have much to say other than I haven't played it, but I just know that it is not one of the best ones from what I've heard, and you've played it, so I take your word for it.
It's not that great. Just in the same aspect as Code Veronica, like, you gotta pick and choose who's gonna have let's say the shotgun for this section, who's gonna have the
Fucking the handgun
gun
and the
the
bullet,
next,
yeah.
stuff like that, you know. And if I remember, some of them have like certain like skills, like I guess Billy is his name, or Bill.
Yeah, Billy Cohen. I don't know why I remember, but
Billy
Yeah.
can. I'm just making shit up, but like, I think his is like unlocking doors or something, or he can take more damage than Rebecca, stuff like that.
yeah.
So, yeah, like besides that, you know, and like I said with the no inventory thing, you gotta remember where you left certain things in a room. So like that means like you're halfway to a new section. It's like, oh shit, wait, I gotta go back and get this.
That's always, and I get it. Backtracking is always like that's a part of the experience for Resident Evil games. But to like go to a specific room, as opposed to a save room where everything is like put together, that's kind of. I get the idea and concept, but in execution, it just didn't.
I think that's where everyone just kind of like with Code Veronica. I think it's just like they were turned away. It's like no inventory. What the hell? See, it goes back to the inventory screen with the character select.
Yeah.
Told you. See, it's a. What's the word? Like it's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The inventory. You take that away, you take the charm of fucking Resident Evil.
You do really. I mean, I think that's the thing that kind of, at least in my opinion, kind of killed that game, like the momentum for that game.
See?
You know?
I'm telling you, you don't got time to think.
yeah, that's right. We're going to get into the beefiest one. We're going to get through this as quickly as possible because Resident Evil 4 is just, it's a masterpiece again. We don't have to sit here and talk about how great this game is. But we're just going to go through the development because I think it's going to be interesting for folks at home. Okay. Released on January 11, 2005 for the GameCube and later on literally on everything else. It underwent a lengthy development cycle where 4 versions of the game were discarded.
Okay.
I named this one the Tony version. The first version was helmed by Hideki Kamiya, where action played a huge role in the game. The story was written about unraveling the mystery surrounding the body of the protagonist named Tony, who would later become known as Dante from the DMC series.
Yeah.
Dropped was the fixed camera system in place of a dynamic camera system. It would be the first Resident Evil title to include a playable character with superhuman powers and intellect, and the coolness theme ultimately did not fit the world of Resident Evil, and so it was later changed into becoming its own
I think what's his name? The OG guy who created Resident Evil.
Shinji Mikami.
I think he said
No, this is
It's
good,
good. You
but
make-
this isn't Resident
yeah.
Evil, so just go and
Yeah,
make
but-
that its own thing.
So thank God he said that.
Yeah, he
and we-
saved it.
He saved
basically.
it.
He
Yeah.
didn't just let's scrap the whole thing. By the way, Shinji Mikami only directed Resident Evil 1 and then remake at this point, as far as I know. And he remained a producer, including with 4.
Okay.
And then we had the FOG version. Development restarted at the end of 2001. It was 40% finished before it got scrapped. This version saw Leon infected with the progenitor virus while infiltrating an Umbrella castle in Europe. It retained traditional Resident Evil monsters and zombies, and it was said to have featured some first-person elements. So this is returning back to its roots, to its horror roots, but it eventually got scrapped.
Mm-hmm.
This seemed kind of interesting in concept, what they were going for. You know, with Leon being infected, and that was the whole point of the game, and he was hallucinating and shit like that. Speaking of hallucinating, this is the next 2 versions. I'm lumping them together because they're kind of similar to one another. I got Hookman, the Hookman version, and the hallucination version. At 2003's E3, Capcom showcased a version of the game that has come to be known as the Hookman version of Resident Evil 4. Mikami famously told the audience that the game will make you pee your pants, as well as that the game was coming along smoothly, which was a fucking lie. The version was set in a haunted location where Leon contracted a bizarre disease that made him hallucinate, and where he'd fight paranormal enemies. This is the first inclusion of a paranormal shit in
Resident Evil.
Yeah, they went paranormal on their asses, dude. This would have marketed the first time that Resident Evil went paranormal. I just said that. The demo featured a ghost-like man with a large hook, hence the Hookman version.
Uh-huh.
This version saw an early prototype for the over-the-shoulder camera system that would later make its way into the final version. This version took life after the proposed hallucination version. So we have the hallucination version first, and then the Hookman version came out second. That's what they were going for. That hallucination version retained most of what was in the Hookman version, save for the emphasis of Leon's motivation to seek the truth of the virus inside Spencer's castle, which is something that they would later return to with Resident Evil 5 with one of the DLCs. I forget what the DLC is called, but I was going to say Separate Ways, but that's not it. And then we finally got the version of Resident Evil. Mikami was like, fuck that, I'll do this shit. He was like Thanos. I was like, I'm going to do this shit myself. He took over entirely as director.
That's what I was to say. Didn't he become a director?
Yep. And it was a complete reinvention of the series. Edgar hates when I say this, but this is the game that saved and both killed Resident Evil at the time. It reinvented the series, but at the same time, nothing could touch Resident Evil 4 for the longest time after this game came out. So therefore, I think it killed Resident Evil as we know it at this point.
Okay.
Mikami, along with the rest of the development team at Capcom, expressed a lack of enthusiasm with working on the same gameplay system. It started to become formulaic as well as not scary anymore. Despite the change in gameplay, some staff members were displeased after the change in design and were hard to motivate afterwards. They were like, what happened to the invisible monsters, man? What the fuck? We can't... We want to do... We always known to do the fixed camera system. Why are you fucking shit up? They were just...
This is Mikami's response. Go get a haircut.
We don't care. That's what he was saying. Mikami stood firm on his stance.
I was in the back. And
Yeah. I never had a problem. Kamiya was like, I never had a problem with Mikami. he stood firm on his stance rewriting the game story to exclude focus on Umbrella. So he was like, "Nah, let's not include anything with Umbrella." But it opened up with the fall of Umbrella, like when you play the game. So it's still, you know, the story was written in only 3 weeks, which you can kind of tell when you play Resident Evil 4, because your right hand comes off, like that shit was
Classic.
You know? A new enemy type was also created, the Ganado, to accompany the game's new direction. There was also an emphasis on updating characters that had previously appeared in the series, with Kamiya once stating that he intended Leon to look tougher, but also cool.
And punch boulders.
The game's influence could mostly be felt in its action-centered focus and its over-the-shoulder system that will later be adopted in nearly every game that came after that point. Like, Resident Evil 4 not only was one of the greatest, if not the greatest Resident Evil title of all time, it literally changed the fucking industry standard of how third-person games were made. You know? Everything that you think of nowadays is like Silent Hill 2 Remake, over the shoulder. Gears of War, over the shoulder. Last of Us, over the shoulder. God of War, over the shoulder. Like,
Cold Fear, over the shoulder.
Over Fortnite, over the shoulder.
Hold on. Let me take you back again, or
You sound like that fucking guy that you know, that guy at E3. You also look like him too, man.
oh, fuck you. No,
that's you right there.
Oh,
you
fuck
keep,
you.
You keep saying,
Fuck
"Let me take you back."
dude.
So I don't know.
That really fucking hurt me, dude. Don't compare me to that fucking asshole.
Jesus, dude, what do you do to you?
I think they killed him off after that shit because we haven't seen him since.
Fucking get a haircut. Is what they told that fucking guy. All right, what are you gonna say?
You better.
Aaron,
You better apologize.
At this point, everyone is waiting for you to hear what you got to say when you say, "I'm gonna take you back."
Yeah, let me take you back. You fucking asshole. No, it's just Howard. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay. When this came out, Howard, everyone wanted it, right? But it was only for the fucking GameCube. So at that point, it made you fucking get a GameCube to
Not Resident Evil 1?
Well, yeah, but like this one was like the
all right.
reason why to
Fair,
get a
fair.
fucking GameCube.
That Super Mario Sunshine.
Nope.
Fucking-
Nope. Because, come on, at that time, our Resident Evil was just exclusively to GameCube, to Nintendo, which is fucking weird. But at the time, I think Nintendo GameCube was really affordable to get. It wasn't that expensive as like the original. Was it the original Xbox or 360?
Are you sure about that?
Sorry, I just had to put that in there.
Was that the 360 time or
No, this is we're getting close.
Oh, so it was
To
like the
360
PS2.
time,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, it was more affordable to get one. I think at that time it was like $100, $130.
For PlayStation 2?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
our brother was like, fuck it, I'll get that and Resident Evil 4.
Are you talking about the PS2 or the GameCube?
The GameCube. He went to
okay.
go get a fucking GameCube because, like I said,
we went with him. I remember that. Yeah, we
Yeah.
went and bought Resident Evil 4 in GameStop, and then we went to Target, and that's where you bought the GameCube, right?
I think so. But like I said, it was affordable, dude.
Yeah.
So you could have got, like I just said, get a GameCube and also get fucking Resident Evil 4.
Yep.
It was just, again, the hype around that game too. Like everyone, I remember, I think it was that same day too when he went to go get Resident Evil 4 or vice versa. Someone came in and asking if it was like for other systems, and like the guy in the counters, no, it's only for GameCube.
Yeah.
Like, and
Well, you only really had to wait like 8 more months
right.
for the PS2 version to come out.
I think it was a couple years, wasn't it?
No, it was like it was not even. It was like a year after.
A year, yes. It wasn't that long, but
Yeah.
everyone was like trying.
Yeah.
You know.
Which I hear from a lot of videos that I've seen, like the PS2 version is like the inferior version of Resident Evil 4. It runs like fucking shit, apparently. Which at the time I didn't know because I was like, this is fucking amazing. I got it on the PS2. Like, it's just the same experience. But when you watch side-by-side comparisons between PS2 and GameCube, the GameCube looks so much better than the
Really?
PS2. The PS2 looks kind of washed out when you see it now. Like, compared to the GameCube, like, the graphics don't look as good. It has, like, this weird motion blur on it. Like, but again, I didn't fucking care when I had it at the time. Like, I got Resident Evil 4 in my hands. I get to play it, but like seeing it now, like GameCube was the definitive version until the Wii came out, and then
I remember the GameCube. Like, I think the remake of Resident Evil and this one had double discs. You remember that?
yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Damn.
God damn, dude, that's. I'm gonna play Resident Evil 4 after this. You know,
Are you?
the original, not the remake. The remake's great. I fucking love that, but
Oh,
original still-
speaking of fucking duplicating shit, didn't you fucking cheat on the fucking Resident Evil 4? You
do you mean?
used a glitch too, asshole. Don't fucking
what
exit
glitch?
to run fast or something like that.
Oh, the Ditman glitch.
Yeah,
Everyone does that, dude.
everyone did the fucking glitch on Code Veronica.
Yeah, but the thing about this one is that it was so well known they put it in the fucking remake. It's a charm. It's the striker, which is, if you know anything about that glitch, you have to like pull up the striker, press the inventory, and then grab a flash grenade, and then there you go. You just like start running fast, and then they made that like a little nod, like you get the striker charm.
I got that.
You run. Fuck you, dude. And then we'll end it here with the Resident Evil 5.
It's not that great.
Which
All right,
is
guys. That was.
which is it's the end of the era, end of an era. Released on March 5th, my girlfriend's birthday, 2009. Produced by Jun Takeuchi, who directed Animusha Warlords and produced Lost Planet. Remember that? Yoshihiro Anpo, who worked as a programmer on the original Resident Evil, directed the project. The game retained the same gameplay model from Resident Evil 4, with some of its thematic tastes from both 4 and the original Resident Evil. This is the first game to take place primarily in daylight, which is a huge shift from all the other Resident Evil games that did not. The decision for this being a combination of the game being set in Africa as well as the advances in hardware, especially in graphical fidelity. So they wanted to show off how powerful these systems can be with Resident Evil 5, which I also notice every time a new Resident Evil game comes out, it sets the fucking standard for like graphical fidelity, man. Like every time a new one comes out, like 4 when it came out at the time, I was like, this shit looks, there's no way it's gonna get better than this, you know? Like that's people thought, and I thought the same thing of 5. The inclusion of co-op was made partway through development, with the decision being to provide a new experience in a Resident Evil game. Not a great experience, I'll say that. That ended up, I think that, would you say that killed it for you? Was the co-op?
It's a lot of things.
Yeah. There was a concern that a second player would lessen the horror aspect. They were right. But they realized that it would actually increase such instances where one player would have to be rescued in a tense situation, which I can see that in concept, but like, dude, no one fucking. Sheva is just such a. God, man. Like, we can go on. The Majin were designed to be more violent than the Ganado, which you can kind of see they're more aggressive. Like, they fucking. You know, they're definitely a lot more. Scary, I think. Than would you say they're more scary than the Ganado? The Majin?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just because the what do you call them from Resident Evil 4?
Ooh, what?
The infected,
The Ganado?
the Ganados. They had a little humor to them.
Aporen!
Yeah,
Shit like
see?
that, yeah. They got shit like that going on. Yeah, that was they were kind of cute.
Yeah.
There was criticism that the game was depicting a white protagonist killing black enemies, leading to allegations of racism. Which, I mean, if you play Resident Evil 5, there is that one section in the marshlands where you play as like, or you're fighting against these like tribal African enemies that didn't really sit well with a lot of people at the time. Which, when I play through it, I'm like, I don't know about this. Like that part in particular, like I don't. But everything else, that's why they started like, all right, let's add more diversity to the enemies. Let's just not make them all one race. But you and I never saw it all about like
Racism?
like racism and shit like that. We were more disappointed by the fact that the game was just not. I mean, at the time it was we had a lot of fun, but I think as time went on, it didn't what's the word? Age like fine wine. It aged like fucking blue cheese. Like this was not. And we can again, just like we did with Code Veronica and Zero. I think it's just so uneven. It's like you said with Code Veronica. You're in the fucking their version of the village, and then you're like in the marshlands, and then you're like underground, and then you're on a fucking ship, and then you're like it's just it jumps from place to place, and it never feels cohesive.
Yeah.
It just and it wasn't paced well, dude. As soon as enemies start shooting at you, like when they introduce those enemies, you can probably turn it off, and you don't really have to like see it through to the end. It's so frustrating, dude. There's so many fucking areas that are like, why is this in here? The puzzles, they make no fucking sense. Like, it's just not even how Wesker could save it from like me wanting to replay it even now,
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those games I think that in time and over time it's just gonna be maybe revered as a cult classic, but
I take you back. Look, when it got released back then, I was excited. It had my favorite character, Chris. It was his time to shine, and the trailers to it and like the story behind it, I was all for it. Or to this day, this is one of the games since the release of the original, like when it came out.
mm-hmm.
I had doubts. I felt disappointed of what the fuck I was playing. And I was fucking like what 15, 16, and I was disappointed. I still feel that inside of me. I still feel that moment when I first played. It's like, what the fuck am I playing, dude? The only reason I soldiered on to play that fucking game, it was because of the story. And that was it.
Yeah.
I just want to see it to the end.
Yeah, I remember specifically you getting to the part where they revealed Jill, and you waking me up because I was asleep because I had to go to school the next day, and you're like, "Come on, like this is it, this is the fucking thing," and all that. And it was at the time I was that's so fucking cool, Jill's back and everything, but yeah, man, when I look back at it, it's like there's like maybe like out of 100. It's like 20% or 25% that it's like I can enjoy it. It's fun, But the rest is just I don't know, man.
Well, I think it was the first time we had COVID, and I tried to play Resident Evil 5 because we couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
You unlocked like pretty much like everything in that game. So it could have been much fun for me, but even with the fucking infinite ammo and all that shit, I couldn't do it. I stopped where you go to the outskirts, the fucking I couldn't do it anymore.
Again, going back to the fact that Shava's in there, and if you're playing solo, you have to deal with her.
Sheva is not a bad character. It's the position she was in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's like it was like if they introduced Claire in 5, and it's like, oh, she's a great character, but the fact that she's in 5 and she's only like this fucking NPC, you kind of hate her because of that.
Yeah.
You don't hate the character or any of that. It's just the fact that it's like it's fucking terrible AI, man.
Terrible AI.
Dumb.
Yes.
It keeps fucking like when you get hit once, it uses its first aid spray. Like all that shit is just. so annoying, man. And it's like, I know people say you have more fun if you play with people. It's like, who the fuck are you gonna play this with, man? You know? And also the inventory screen, and like it almost felt like Zero in that way. Where it's like you had to switch between like, oh, give me your fucking herb, and I'll give you this shit, and it's like, yeah, dude, why didn't you give them attache cases like you did with fucking 4? Why isn't there a merchant like there wasn't 4? Like, there's just, yeah, it felt like it felt hollow. That's the word. It felt like a hollow version of 4, you know? Kind of disappointing. It had a good mercenaries mode, though. I like the mercenaries.
Mercenaries was fun.
You know? But, yeah, I think this is the fall of Resident Evil 5. From this point on, we're going to talk about a lot of games that were not great, but that's going to be on the next episode of Two Brothers. So this is part 1. Part 2, please join us on part 2. We'll release that probably a week after this one gets released. And maybe we'll be inside of a house. Maybe the baker's residence. Who knows?
So follow us on our socials.
It's called Two Bros.
You sure?
On TikTok, yes. On Instagram,
What?
like.
Why are you promoting your TikTok? You haven't done nada. Shit. Poop. What's
I
going
don't
on?
see you doing fucking TikToks.
Right,
Huh? Why don't you fucking do TikToks for our channel?
Cause I'm awesome. I don't
Oh,
know.
you're fudge. Yeah. Someone who isn't awesome would say that they're fucking awesome, man. Like and subscribe. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun putting this together and doing the research. Edgar doesn't do shit, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let you know about that. And we'll come back and do the part 2 of our Resident Evil history of deep dive retrospective. So thank you guys, and